How's business?
How's business? I have no time for such dull conversation, darling.
That's a nice snake you have there.
I could say the same of you.
Well, I know where I got mine. Where'd you get yours?
That's personal.
How about a reading?
The prices are listed on the sign.
They seem a little steep.
Well, I sometimes do my intimate friends for nothing. But I am a businesswoman.
I'm sure you are. Could I ask you a few questions, Madame Lorelei?
The only answers I give are given in my reading. I'm sure your palm would be quite interesting.
The Cajun band is a little busy for that right now.
Come on, boys. Hoopla!
Gabriel doesn't want to take. The booth is a colorful melange. The booth is a colorful melange. The owner is currently plying a different sort of wares, however.
Not a bad idea. Ooh, baby, I love the way you...
Madame Lorelei winks knowingly at Gabriel and twitches her hip.
Yep, she wants me.
Thanks, boys.
The veil belonged to the fortune teller. It's covered with shiny iridescent sequins. The magnifying glass is... Gabriel examines the veil with a magnifying glass. That sequin looks a little strange. Why, it's a snake scale. Gabriel carefully uses the tweezers to remove the snake scale from the veil. Gabriel magnifies the scale from the fortune teller. The iridescent scale is hued olive green. It doesn't seem to match the scale from Lake Pontchartrain.
I think this veil belongs to you.
Huh, my veil. I'm always losing those things. You have no idea. Well, darling, you're such a sweetie to return a lady's delicates, and so handsome as well.
Well,
And since you have such a clear interest in fortune-telling, let me see your hands. They look so strong. Perhaps they will make both our fortunes clear, no?
I wish something would.
Strong. Yes, and yet so delicate and flexible.
You don't know the half of it.
Oh, good. I see a mysterious woman in your immediate future.
Madame Lorelei winks at Gabriel knowingly.
She is a dangerous one, dark and beautiful. Ah, I see the road of your life forking. And very soon.
The blood drains from Madame Lorelei's face in an instant. Sweat beads on her upper lip.
Are you okay?
They're all bullshit.
Oh God! Beware! Beware!
What is it about me lately? You've already got me, you lucky devil.
Nothing on that
I can't resist black.
It's a priest's shirt. Gabriel cannot see himself wearing a long robe. The crucifix might come in handy, but Gabriel does not feel guilt-free enough to wield it. Nothing on that shit. Nothing on Gabriel can.
Do you mind if I ask you a few questions?
Yep, I mind all right.
Why?
Because A, I don't know anything, and B, I'm busy.
Oh. You seem to be quite a reader.
Yep,
Did you ever read anything by Gabriel Knight?
no,
It looks like the lecture is just starting. Gabriel decides to record the session.
Voodoo is the tribal religion of Africa, but the name Voodoo is actually a banner heading under which resides an entire body of distinct tribal belief systems. The word voodoo may sound familiar to you. What is known in the States as voodoo is actually an amalgamation of African religious systems, voodoo, and European religions, primarily Catholicism. All of the subcults of African voodoo have certain things in common. The most important is the worship of a pantheon of spirits instead of the single deity that the Christian and Muslim systems had. Some of these spirits are elementals. Some relate to specific tasks or places. Some represent important tribal leaders who have died. This spirit worship is what makes voodoo so easily adaptable. With all those spirits, it's no problem to add a few more. Say, for example, the Virgin Mary. At the height of tribal Africa, warfare was common. One tribe would conquer another, and the Loa, important in the conqueror's tribal system, would be adopted readily into the conquered tribe's Loa pantheon. In this way, many of the voodoo cults spread and mingled throughout tribal Africa, enriching the belief system and causing innumerable offshoots. The basis for the voodoo religion seems to be as old as man himself. It has much in common with many early pagan practices: animal totems, sympathetic magic, elemental spirits in the trees, the heavens, the bodies of the sick. Africa is believed by many to be the cradle of the human race. Some of the voodoo Loa may be as old as the Garden of Eden itself. We still can't explain some of the real power of these primal religions. And note, I said primal, not primitive. There are African Bokors who baffle our scientists with their supernatural powers. Now, let's discuss the elements of voodoo.
Fascinating guy.
In voodoo, the spirits are called the Loa. During a voodoo ceremony, celebrants are possessed by the Loa, and this is called being ridden. The human worshiper is seen as a horse, and the Loa as the divine horseman. A person being ridden by a Loa takes on the characteristics of that spirit and becomes, in effect, merely a vessel for the more powerful entity. Some of the older original Africa Loa include Dambala, the great serpent god; Ezruli, the mistress of love; Papa Nebo, or Gede, the lord of death; Agwe, the spirit of water; Legba, spirit of the crossroads; and the cruelest and most dangerous, Ogun Badagri, the lord of destruction.
Ugh. Oh, I gotta get more sleep at night.
A tribe-specific Loa can have as much or more power as the more widely worshipped Loa. For instance, a particular tribe might revere highly the Loa of an ancestor who was a legendary hunter or politician. Voodoo temples are called Hounfours. Their priests, Hungan or Bokors. Their priestesses, Mama Loa. In a voodoo Hounfour, there's a ritual circle marked by a center pole called a poto bitan. The ritual circle is prepared with a veve, a pattern of symbols. Each tribe's veve is slightly different, consisting of complex symbols that identify their special lore. During ritual conclaves, initiates dance under the supervision of a bokor and a mamaloa, or head priestess. The use of totems or animal masks and markings was not uncommon in the original African ceremonies. Now, though, all but the oldest sects have abandoned this practice. Ritual objects used during the conclaves include the ritual gourd or asong, the ritual knife or kubasa,
That knife gives me the chills.
the ritual whip or fouet cache, and the ritual coffin or seke madule. These items are often optional, called for by the mamaloa for specific magical rituals. The mamaloa is the most powerful figure in any voodoo sect. Voodoo is a truly matriarchal system. Even the bokor knows his power is limited. Mamaloa is the supreme woman. She butterflies, fireflies.
Firelight. No, what is it? Gabriel?
What? I can't see.
Gabriel! Get in!
Can't. It's too small for me.
You must get in, Gabriel.
It's not mine. Too small.
Hide, Gabriel, hide!
No, no, let me out. Help.
Young man, the lecture is over.
Oh my God. It's...
Gabriel scans the bulletin board. Greek night at the Alpha Psi Omega frat house. It looks like it took place sometime last spring.
Are you a student?
No. My name is Knight. Gabriel Knight.
Well, you have walked into my private office, Mr. Knight. I hope you have something worthwhile to do here. If you figure it out, let me know.
The carved stone head looks African and very old. That mask is quite hideous. Exotic fish lend even more color to the cluttered office. The squatter grins maliciously at Gabriel. A round pottery vessel hangs from the ceiling. Dr. Hartridge's office is crowded with masks, carved figures, and strange objects.
Your lecture was terrific.
Oh, you think so? You were snoring so loud I didn't think you'd heard it.
Exotic fish lend even more color to the cluttered office.
Mind if I pick your brain?
Not if it will get you out of my office.
What can you tell me about voodoo?
You already sat through my lecture on the subject, Mr. Knight. Perhaps next time you could stay awake and learn something.
What can you tell me about New Orleans?
I find it interesting to see the occasional fragment of voodoo practices in the everyday culture of New Orleans.
Do you know anything about snakes?
I'm not a zoologist, Mr. Knight, but I know all I care to about reptiles.
What can you tell me about St. John's Eve?
It's June 23rd, the feast day of St. John the Baptist. But June 23rd has been a sacred day since the earliest times. Ancient sun worshippers used to roll a flaming wheel down a hill to celebrate the sun's descent on that day.
A burning wheel? Huh. Do you have any idea what Cabri sans Coeur means?
Cabri sans Coeur. Yes, I do. It's a Haitian term, I believe. It's French, and literally translates as goat without horns.
As in a female goat?
No, as in a human sacrifice. Sacrifices in voodoo are usually of the animal variety. Chickens, wolves, goats. If the gods demand a goat without horns, it means a human being.
Do you know anything about Marie Laveau?
While I find the colloquial bastardizations of voodoo somewhat interesting from a sheerly intellectual point of view, there's not a lot of relation between people like Laveau and true voodoo practices.
Tell me about Bébés.
If you'd taken notes during my lecture, you wouldn't have to ask.
Have you ever heard of a Schottenjäger?
I'm afraid I can't help you there, Mr. Knight.
Tell me about yourself.
All right, Mr. Knight, I'm 35, a fully tenured professor at this university, as well as a fellow at Cambridge. My doctorate was obtained at Syracuse. Yes, Syracuse, in religious studies. I'm an agnostic, but I find human belief systems fascinating. I specialize in African religions because I grew up there. My father was a Protestant missionary. And I am heterosexual, when I practice sex at all, which isn't very often. Any other questions?
No.
Fine.
Tell me more about human sacrifice.
It's very rare. Most voodoo practices do not include human sacrifice as a matter of record, but it is theoretically possible if that's the gods demand. For example, one of the chants I had translated for me from a Haitian ritual went like this. Mistress Azuli, come and aid us. If a cock is demanded, we will give it. If a bull will suffice, behold it. But if a goat without horns is required for sacrifice, oh, where will we find one? Azuli is the gentlest of Loa, so they call on her for mercy. But I have seen grown and powerful Hungan tremble before a possession by one of the more violent Loa, such as Papaniwa. Clearly, they are afraid that something of the sort will be ordered, or that the Loa will simply take it for themselves.
What do you know about the voodoo murders?
I've read about them in the papers. I must admit, to some interest. But according to the newspapers, the voodoo aspect is faked, so I haven't really pursued it. You know how Americans, especially Hollywood, treats voodoo. I'm sure there are many so-called practitioners out there that have no idea what they're doing or the power they're playing with.
Can you tell me anything about this pattern?
Wow. Interesting. Very interesting. Mind if I copy this?
Be my guest.
Great. I'll be right back. Here you go. You know, this is a fascinating veve. You must tell me all about its origin.
Actually, I was hoping you'd tell me. Can you figure out anything about it from the symbols?
Well, some. That's why I wanted a copy. I want to research the design myself. Each of the symbols in the veve represents something, a loa, a place. Where did you get this?
Have you heard of the voodoo murders?
No, you're kidding. Really? Then the voodoo is authentic. The newspapers are wrong. Boy, are they wrong.
You think this Veve is authentic, then?
Authentic? Mr. Knight, that's like asking if the Mona Lisa is a painting. Tell you what, I'll look into these symbols myself and see what I can learn about the sect that made this. I'll give you a call when I have more information. You are associated with the police, aren't you?
Absolutely. But I'm, undercover. You can contact me at the St. George's bookshop in the quarter.
All right. Now, I'd like to get started on this if you don't mind.
Is there anything you can tell me about the voodoo aspects of this photograph?
This is serious voodoo ritual. Nasty stuff.
In what way?
Let's see. I can't make out much detail from this photograph. Except for the corpse, of course. But the wound, the face, and what little I can see of the ritual paraphernalia. Reminds me of certain black voodoo practices. Very rare. I've never witnessed them myself, you understand.
Really? Interesting. Thanks. I'll be going.
Good day, Mr. Knight.
By the way.